Hey, good morning, tribe. Welcome back. In today's video, we're going to be going over crisis intervention, so stay tuned. Okay, so let's dive into it. So, crisis intervention. According to the Social Work Dictionary 6th edition, Barker, crisis intervention is defined as the therapeutic practice used in helping client in crisis to promote effective coping that can lead to positive growth and change by acknowledging the problem, recognizing its impact, and learning new or more effective behaviors for coping with similar predictable experiences. So that's the official definition, according to the Social Work Dictionary 6th edition, of crisis intervention. And what tends to confuse a lot of people, look at the many different crisis intervention models. The crisis intervention we're going to focus on is actually number 5, Roberts' 7-stage crisis intervention model. And when we scroll down, according to Crisis Intervention, a practical guide, and here are the authors listed right here. Again, in exploring similarities, it is important to point out that these models all focus on providing psychological first aid, making certain that the client feels heard and supported. The counselor then assesses the crisis situation and explores alternatives or optional ways to deal with the crisis. An agreement is made as to what options will be enacted and appropriate referrals are made. Some type of follow-up then takes place to ensure that the client has adhered to the selected options or alternatives and that some beginning steps have been taken to resolve the crisis. The strength of all of these models is that they help provide the beginning counselor with some very rudimentary, systematic procedures that can be followed to assist clients in a variety of crisis situations. Each theorist has attempted to devise a model that can be used whether the crisis is situational, developmental, environmental, or existential. The downside of these models is that the success of resolving the crisis will depend in part on the experience of the crisis counselor and comfortably applying the model to a variety of situations, as well as to their knowledge of resources. So what this is saying, in short, all of these models listed here, all 9 of them, they fundamentally follow the same principles of providing psychological first aid, making certain that the client feels heard and supported, assess the crisis situation, explore alternatives or optional ways to deal with the crisis, and an agreement is made as to what options will be enacted and appropriate referrals are made, and then some type of follow-up then takes place. So it doesn't matter which model we're using. And again, we're going to focus on Roberts' 7-stage crisis intervention model. Roberts' 7-stage crisis intervention model. According to Crisis Intervention, a practical guide, Albert R. Roberts, a professor of social work and criminal justice at Rutgers University, shout out to RU, advocates that crisis counselors be active and directive. However, not to the extent that they take ownership of the crisis or its solutions away from the individual. Roberts' writings credit Kaplan, Golan, and Parad with having influenced his model of crisis intervention. Roberts also advocates that crisis counselors convey acceptance and optimism so that individuals are aware that their situation is not hopeless and therefore they can successfully survive the crisis. And listed here, Albert Roberts, he died on June 23rd, 2008. And Roberts' 7-stage model can be utilized in a variety of crisis situations such as addiction, incest, child abuse, school violence, hospital emergency room cases, HIV clients, telephone crisis calls, walk-in crisis centers, and mobile crisis units. It's very well-rounded, so another reason why we're using this one in particular. And the first stage, crisis assessment. The social worker needs to assess if the client in crisis is in imminent danger, which includes assessing if medical attention is needed, assessing for any impairment, including impairment due to substance use, and assessing for any risk of danger to self or others. Side note, although we typically establish rapport early on with our clients, doing so takes time. The client is currently in a crisis, so safety needs to be prioritized first. So notice how with stage one, this crisis assessment, look at the things that it's focused on. It's not necessarily doing a standard assessment of the overall situation. It's more so zoning in on any potential safety issues that we need to address or anything related to medical or substance use. And just to help us remember, I have a bridge right here. So number one is safety. So assess for imminent danger to self or others or immediate need of any kind. So you see right here for the stage number one crisis assessment, essentially we're assessing for safety because all of this right here is safety, anything that needs that immediate attention. Then we go to stage two, make psychological contact, establish rapport, and readily establish a relationship. Like establish rapport, build rapport. The goal is to establish a connection / rapport with the client by conveying a respectful, non-judgmental attitude when speaking with the client. And then when we go right into the bridge, safety, assess for imminent danger to self or others or immediate need of any kind. Number two, rapport, establish rapport. Then we go to stage three, identify major problems and examine the dimensions of the problem in order to define it. Sounds like an assessment. Roberts recommends that the clinician try to find out these three things. A, the last straw or precipitating event that led the client to seek help. B, previous coping methods. And C, danger or lethality. So again, jumping into that bridge, number one, safety. Assess for imminent danger to self or others or immediate need of any kind. Number two, rapport, establish rapport. Three, assessment, to gain a full understanding about the client and their situation, which includes the details of the situation or the last straw, strengths, which is previous coping methods, and safety above all. So that's danger or lethality, just to see, since we're doing an assessment anyway. I know we already assessed it at number one, but we're doing an assessment anyway. We just want to see what's going on. Now we're jumping into stage four. Encourage an exploration of feelings and emotions. This stage emphasizes the importance of allowing the client the opportunity to express their feelings instead of solely focusing on gathering information for their assessment. And that is really important because have you ever been doing an assessment and we're all human. We notice that we're just trying to get it done, get the necessary information and everything with the goal in mind to help the client, of course. But we always want to meet the client where they're at, right? We're right there with them one-on-one. Let's explore how they feel as well. Definitely important. And this stage meets the client where they're at to see how the client is currently feeling about their situation. And then jumping back into the bridge, number one, safety. Assess for imminent danger to self or others or immediate need of any kind. And again, remember that's referring to any medical attention or attention they need due to substance use. Number two, rapport. Establish rapport. Number three, assessment. To gain a full understanding about the client and their situation, which includes the details of the situation, last straw, strengths, which is the previous coping methods, and safety above all, danger or lethality, just to see, since we are already doing an assessment. And then number four, feelings. It's important to see how the client is feeling during this time. Generate and explore alternatives and assess past coping attempts. The social worker helps the client uncover coping tools that were effective in the past and utilize them once more. The social worker helps the client identify and modify maladaptive coping. And real quick, maladaptive coping methods that are ineffective or harmful in managing stress, challenges, or difficult emotions. And solution-focused approaches are especially helpful at this stage. Solution-focused approaches, these are therapeutic techniques and strategies used to help individuals identify and work towards solutions to their problems. Instead of focusing extensively on past issues or the root causes of problems, solution-focused therapy emphasizes the present and future, as well as the client's strength and resources. Now jumping into the bridge once again, Number 1, safety. Assess for imminent danger to self or others or immediate need of any kind, again, related to substance use, medical. Number 2, rapport. Establish rapport. Number 3, assessment. To gain a full understanding about the client and their situation, which includes the details of the situation, last straw, the client's strengths, previous coping methods, and safety above all, danger or lethality, just to see since we're already doing an assessment. And number 4, feelings. It's important to see how the client is feeling during this time. And number 5, coping. Explore past, present, and new coping. Now getting into stage 6, develop and formulate an action plan. Before creating an action plan, 3 conditions must first be met. First, the client needs to have a realistic understanding of what factors led up to the crisis and why it occurred. Second, it is important that the client understand how the crisis event interferes with his or her expectations, life goals, and belief systems. Also, the social worker must also be aware of any cognitive distortions, generalizations, or irrational beliefs the client may have. And third, the social worker helps the client decrease/stop misperceptions or distortions and adopt healthier, adaptive beliefs and new cognitions. The action plan evolving from these steps often involves empowering the client to generate alternatives. Example, in situations involving abuse, this may involve helping the client find shelter away from their abusive partner for safety. So just, of course, we're collaborating with the client, still helping and assisting them as needed. But take a look here. For stage 6, develop and formulate an action plan. Notice how these 3 things need to be accounted for by us, the social worker. And in short, this helps us make sure that the client is in their right state of mind and how they're just overall perceiving, looking at this situation. Because if they were looking at it in a inaccurate way, just a simply unhelpful way, then it will be hard to kind of work towards their goals and just help them overall. Now looking at the bridge again, safety, assess for imminent danger to self or others or immediate need of any kind. Stage 2, rapport, establish rapport. Stage 3, assessment, to gain a full understanding about the client and their situation, which includes the details of the situation, the last straw, their strengths, previous coping methods, and safety above all, danger or lethality, just to see since we're already doing an assessment. Stage 4, feelings. It's important to see how the client is feeling during this time. Stage 5, coping, explore past, present, and new coping. Stage 6, plan. Before we develop the action plan, we make sure the client is looking at their situation in a realistic and positive manner. And going to the last stage, stage 7, establish a follow-up plan and agreement. So follow-up plan examples include referral for ongoing counseling, referral to support groups, scheduling a follow-up call to see if the client maintained their gains made from services. And now let's jump into the final bridge. Stage number 1, safety. Assess for imminent danger to self or others or immediate need of any kind, again, related to medical or substance use. Stage 2, rapport. Establish rapport. Stage 3, assessment. To gain a full understanding about the client and their situation, which includes the details of the situation, last straw, their strengths, previous coping methods, and safety above all, danger or lethality, just to see since we're already doing an assessment anyway. Stage 4, feelings. It's important to see how the client is feeling during this time. Stage 5, coping. Explore past, present, and new coping. Stage 6, plan. Before we develop the action plan, we make sure the client is looking at their situation in a realistic and positive manner. And stage 7, follow-up. Follow up with services by referring the client somewhere and or following up with them via phone call. Okay, tribe, that's it for today's video covering crisis intervention. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share with a social worker friend because we don't want to be licensed by ourselves. Also, the book I use for crisis intervention was actually one of the reference books listed on the ASWB examination guidebook, so it's coming right from the source. And as always, you got this. I understand with this exam, a big part of it is I want my life back. Studying is cool and everything. I like learning, but it's like I just want to be able to kind of continue with my social work journey. It's all good. You got this. 2 practice questions a day, 1 practice exam a month. Go in there, get what's yours, which is a license, and let's continue with our social work journey. You got this. All right, tribe. I'll see you next video.